The last of the major pro sports leagues kicks off this week, and BetOnline is your top spot for all your NBA action this season. With MLB postseason, NFL and college football, and NHL in full swing, BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions. Get everything NBA at your fingertips with desktop and mobile access for every sport anytime. Head to BetOnline today to get in on the action, and don't forget to use promo code Bleav to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's BLEAV. BetOnline, where the game starts. Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. It is the Arizona Cardinals centric specific show where, of course, we talk about the Arizona Cardinals here in the Phoenix metropolitan area. I am one of your co-hosts. I am Javon J. Love Adams, and with me, as always, is a man who played professional baseball, also played in the National Football League for that first Super Bowl-bound team for the Atlanta Falcons. I'm talking about, of course, none other than author and motivational speaker, my brother Ed Smith. What is good?
What's going on, Jay? Hey, we got to add title professional better there too, man. You got to you got to tutor me so I can, I'm scared to do it without you, man. I never bet for my life, so
Indeed.
Bet
Matter of fact,
online.
we gotta we got it. We've been talking about it for a while. Maybe if you, depending on if your back will hold up, being well, all you gotta do is lean at the table. Go to the casino this weekend. maybe check that out. So we do this thing twice a week. Mondays we look back on the game that was and break that down and give our thoughts about it. And then on Thursdays we look ahead to the upcoming week's game and break down that opponent and just talk about some of the things that I see, but most importantly that the man who played the game that he sees, and he's in a zone right now because after we're done recording this, he has a Ravens podcast to record. So he already immersed in everything. So we got the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to be facing the Baltimore Ravens. They're coming into State Farm Stadium. The Baltimore Ravens are 5-2. The Cardinals, of course, are 1-5. Before I start to break down some of the different things, of course, one of the things that I want to talk about is Lamar Jackson. So we know that, but then also the defense of the Baltimore Ravens as well, in terms of, especially when you look at some of their rankings. But what do you see in terms of from a high level about the Ravens as they're coming into this week's to this matchup against the Cardinals?
Well, this week scares me because they're coming off of such a high in their victory against Detroit. They look so dynamic offensively. That was a game that, I do my confidence picks each week, and I'm thinking, going into it, Detroit, man, they got the fighting Campbells, man. They're playing pretty good, and they're going to go in there and they're going to try to smack, the Ravens in the mouth. And man, I bought into it, picked the doggone Detroit Lions to go in there and upset the Ravens, and the Ravens come out, man, and they were like a bully, man. I mean, they were so dynamic. Lamar was Lamar, in the pocket, out of the pocket. He's so creative because I think what he's learned is he doesn't want to be out there taking a whole lot of hits, right? So Lamar, he's escaping when he has to escape, but when he doesn't have to, when he can maneuver in the pocket, he's actually standing in the pocket, eyes down the field, which is the most impressive thing. A lot of times runners, the running quarterbacks, when they start scrambling, they hit that eject button, they miss a lot of opportunities down the field because they're already thinking, I'm getting out of here. He's been so good at staying in the pocket until he absolutely has to get out of there and finding guys, Andrews and his receivers down the field and touchdowns. He's not leaving those on the plate, on the table these days. And then they have just enough designed runs when he gets out. And there's one thing about Lamar, if you notice, Jay, obviously I don't want to jinx him, does not take a lot of huge hits. He's good at getting up the field, and then when it's time to either get out of bounds, he gets out or he gets down. And that's been, for me, the most impressive thing is that new offense that they've started running. They haven't taken his other abilities away from him. A lot of times coordinators want to come in, well, we're either going to do two things. We're going to run him to death or we're going to not run him at all. I think they're running him just enough, and he's improving and he's being smart where he's using that portion of his abilities, but he's also continuing to improve as a passer, and that's what's so scary. And, this Cardinals defense, man, you talking about being up at night, coordinators trying to figure out how to stop him. If they come in here with their A game, we always no, this could be a trap game for the Ravens. They come off that great victory, looking at the Cardinals 1-6, come in here and take them lightly, and it turns into a ball game. I'm sure Harbaugh is preaching that to them, and if they come in here with their A game, there's not much we can do to combat what they do on the offensive side. On the defensive side, they get after it as well. So that's my my high look at this game. Obviously, we'll get into some specifics, but yeah, this is gonna be a tough one for the Cardinals.
So let's stay on Lamar just for another moment. So that game that you mentioned against the Lions, it seems that was for this season more of a breakout game, right? So he had 357 yards passing, 36 yards rushing. If we're looking at that, I guess if we're looking at the Cardinals defense, right? So somebody like Kaiser White, the linebacker, is he maybe a key? Could he be a key or some? I mean, is there anybody? It has to be a lot more contained, if anything, when it comes to and try to force him to stay within that pocket and make those throws with Lamar, right?
This is a game, as far as in my opinion, there is not going to. You shouldn't be focusing on one guy because we don't have one guy on our side to wreak havoc. This has to be a game where everybody on the defensive side does their job according to the game plan. Meaning, if we're going to try to keep Lamar in the pocket, we have to make sure, our edge rushers, you guys going upfield, but not too far upfield where you give him escapability inside. One step up, boom, he's gone. As far as the interior rush, we got to push, maybe some twists and stuff like that, but you have to maintain your gap responsibility as well, because if you allow him to get out of there, he's picking up these, keeping us on the field on third downs and stuff like that, extending plays. And as far as secondary, you got to keep your eyes on your receiver, but you also got to know, and this is dangerous because when you start running too much, like say man coverage, and you got them receivers running up the field, and all of a sudden Lamar escapes, a 5-yard pickup turns into 25 because everybody's back turned running up the field, covering guys. So this is a complex game. This has to be a game plan where you have to account for everything, and that's why Lamar and the Baltimore Ravens offense is so tough to prepare for, because he does have the ability to run. He also has the ability to throw the ball. Then you got to worry about Mark Andrews in the middle of the field. They got some good receivers on the outside, and then their running game without Lamar. They can, if they establish that, we could be in trouble. So as far as your question, who's going to, man, everybody's got to be on key and on assignment to have any chance to stop this Baltimore Ravens offense, not just Lamar, but all his key pieces as well.
It's interesting though, because even with that breakout game last week with the 350 plus yards, that on the season he has I think it's 8 TDs and 3 interceptions. But more specifically, we know that he's mobile, but he's really a part of that running game in terms of 5 touchdowns, about 52 yards a game rushing. So you have to account for that. But you mentioned one of the knocks, even when he was winning that MVP with Lamar, was, can he really find those receivers? Can he lead? Can he do those things? And I don't mean lead a locker room. I mean make the throws that a true passer makes. Are you seeing that development, that now that he has maybe a better complement of receivers around him, so you're seeing that elevation and that growth?
I am. And with the one thing we have to remember, Jay, Lamar, it seems like he's been in the league forever. He's only 25 years old, I think, something like that, right? So right. He's still, and he's learning the position. I think he's a second, third coordinator. And sometimes, you have to weed through him to get to the one that is the one. And I think this new combination, I can't remember their coordinator's name, but they finally found that secret sauce, just enough run, but not running him too much. The passing and one of the things, I like to watch, Jay, you watch how they get the plays with different motions and stuff like that. This isn't a stagnant offense anymore. This isn't just Lamar in pistol or shotgun. We're seeing, and I'm, watching some of these shows during the week, and I'm seeing complex motions where they're bringing guys in and then running them out to get, edge, get outside to contain and different things like that. They're starting to be more creative, and that's just all that does is just open up even more, because now, at the start of the ball, it looks like this, and then you got somebody running in motion or these bunches, formations, and stuff like that. It's confusing to the defensive fronts and the guys. And then you add that element where we gotta keep our eyes on Lamar, but then over here something's happening, and so you add all that in, it gets confusing for those defenses. We saw what they just did to Detroit. They made Detroit, like they made their inside rush and stuff like that irrelevant because they had so much stuff going on. And I think that's the part that people are missing is like now, like Lamar, he's elevated his game as far as a passer, but it's also being enhanced by all the other things that they're doing, and like I said, it's complex, man. You just can't line up and know where this is what they're doing. They're starting to disguise things more and give Lamar, and Lamar's picking it up very fast. And that's why there's 7 games, or this will be their 8th game of the year. This was a new offense for him. He's starting to get more comfortable in it. And, it looks like he's, mastering this pretty quick. So all I can say is watch out for the rest of the league, because the more comfortable he gets and then they start adding things on, different wrinkles and stuff like that, it just makes it that much more dynamic on their side.
Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. He's Ed Smith. I'm Javon Adams. There's a song by what I think it's KRS-One or BDP that says we're number one, and the Ravens are number 1 when it comes to points against at 13.9 again on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm gonna flip that and talk about the Cardinals offense. I mean, we know the Cardinals, so they are 18.1 points a game, 24th in the league out of 32 teams. So what does that look like? My concern is that we're probably going to see Clayton Tune at some point in this game, probably in the second half. I think that's probably going to happen. But okay. I think it's a possibility, or some type, because I think the rope or the leash that they've given that they have for Joshua Dobbs is getting shorter and shorter by the moment. But when we're looking at that, do the Cardinals stand a chance against that defense? I know it's not the Bears defense. It's not. I heard people say on the airways here locally, it's not the Ravens defense of the early 2000s, right? So I understand that, but with the defense that is so stingy, what do the Cardinals have to do to even be in this game to give themselves a chance?
Well, the first thing, you and I want to once again just let everybody know Joshua Dobbs is doing a halfway decent job with this offense. Yeah. I mean, people are clamoring, and I keep asking, what do you expect from him? He's not a franchise quarterback. And then you look at the ingredients he's playing with. No James Conner. Ertz is now out of the lineup. You look at our roster, and how many guys other than Budda Baker, who else? Like take a San Francisco roster or something like that. How many of our guys would even be starting on other teams? This roster is stripped down to the bone. You got a backup quarterback, and people are clamoring like, what's going on here? We should be playing better. No, this is, Joshua Dobbs is doing the best he can with what he can. And then you also throw in the fact, Jay, it's a rookie head coach, 2 rookie coordinators. This game, it could get ugly, but just on paper. But what I like is that the Cardinals, to their credit, to this point in the season, we have not said one time the guys gave up out there. We saw a game over in Florida early this year when one Denver Broncos team, they quit. They gave up. We know that for a fact. Right. This team has fought even when they've been down on the road. Not one time have I said, they just been outmanned, out-talented, out-coached, because it is what it is. So on paper, this game looks like, a heavyweight fight where it's a tune-up for the heavyweight to get ready for the big fight.
Man, you cold.
And we could Buster Douglas them, because it happens. Look what we did to Dallas. But if we did, it would be a shock above all shocks, right? So going into this game, I'm like, on paper, this looks like a beatdown. It's like we can go, and if they come over here after what they did in Detroit, this game could be over in the first half. But we all know the NFL is not like that. And the Cardinals have not given up on the players, and the coaches have not given up on the season. So what do? We got a backup quarterback with minus our tight end. We don't have a running game. We go out there.
And that's
With
right, because Ertz is on the
IR.
injured list. So yeah,
Yeah.
so he's going to be out for at least the next 4 weeks.
So it's like you continue to take weapons away from this, and it's like, well, what's this going to look like? This could look ugly as hell, Jay. I mean, Joshua Dobbs. Now, if they continue with the conservative game plan, there's a couple things that can happen. If Baltimore jumps out on top of us, it might force them to have to start throwing the ball down the field. We cannot continue to dink dunk, because that's
I'm gonna stop you right there. So do you think that would force them to do that, or do you think that would make them get even more conservative? So I think you mentioned something that I want. Maybe we can take this a little bit further here. Is you have there are certain matchups where you would think we need to be conservative to control the ball to try to go so that way we try to keep that that way we can possess the ball for longer. But I think this is it. You want to go for the okie doke kind of in that regard, because the Cardinals need to, for one, they're playing at home. So you do certain things to really engage the crowd or the fan base. It doesn't seem like you should have to do that, but the way in which you call the plays, the fans that are truly engaged, the fair weather ones, they don't really pay attention anyway. But how you calling this game? Wait, you're running the ball again? Wait, it's 3rd and 5 and you're going to run the ball and you know that your running game isn't there. Those little things. So they have to maybe get outside of their comfort zone to be more aggressive this week, particularly to see what they can do to maybe catch that defense if they can off guard.
I would dare say you use the word comfort zone, Jay. I would say they have to get out of their fear zone. The coaches right now, because like I said, they've never experienced it before. They're a new head coach, new coordinators and stuff like that, right? And the last thing they want to do is go out there and embarrass themselves or make people, what the hell are they doing out there with that, the trick play, or, they're throwing the ball up the field knowing we got to back up. That's how it works, Jay. Right now, everybody is like, well, Joshua Dobbs, we need to, get rid of it, it's tune time. They are so scared to open it up that they are being so conservative that, and it's almost like, in my opinion, they're playing with house money to a certain degree. We're looking at this coaching staff and their game plans, and I'm like, look, I know they're competent, and I know the players are buying in because I'm looking at it. You can tell we've been in some of these games. It's not an embarrassment. A few years ago when Wilkes was here, what did we used to say every week? It was like, oh my God, those guys, it looks like they have no idea what they're doing. The players have no fire out there. It's like this team, you can tell they're coached. They don't have a whole lot of talent. The guys are out there playing hard. They just don't have a whole lot of talent. So how do you combat that? Hey, let's just, you're playing with house money too a little bit, in my opinion. Let's go out there and a little few wrinkles here. Let Josh throw it up the field. How many times so far, Jay? Because nobody expects Joshua Dobbs is not a running quarterback, right? How many times do we have to see him do the little fake and all of a sudden run out the backside for a touchdown because nobody's expecting it, right?
Right.
How about if we came out and let Marquise run a couple nines and maybe a flea flicker or something like that? Or, in my opinion, like I said, we don't have much to lose, but they're scared. They don't want to look stupid. And it's holding them back. That's in my opinion. And at this point,
I don't know if you're talking to the coaching staff or you talking to me right now. I feel like I'm being talked to right now. Good Lord.
Hey, bro, I've been going to church a little bit more with you, right?
Man.
And every now and then the preacher starts talking. And all of a sudden I start listening because I feel like he's talking to me. So I'm just going to say, preach.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So could this be, could it be that if you have the mindset of who's the head of the snake, so to speak? Here's what I mean. If we have Harbaugh was is special teams coach, but more of a hard-nosed guy, so therefore he wants to have that type of mentality. So he's not necessarily going to have this high octane offense. If somebody who's a defensive minded guy and he's putting his staff together, he might have a guy that he wants to run, that he wants to be a greyhound, as an offensive coordinator. But he says, no. I need you to walk. We're gonna walk. I know you got speed, but I need you to walk. So can it be oftentimes the head coach and their philosophy or what their DNA is that can hold a team back sometimes, where you have like a Gannon who's a defensive minded guy, and maybe he's saying, I need be conservative. I don't need you to. I don't want to see all the bells and whistles. You can give me one bell, which might be a Joshua Dobbs run, but I need you to keep it close to the vest. Could that be the issue as well?
Yeah. And some of the defensive minded coaches, they don't want to put their side of the ball in jeopardy. And we see that all the time. They're protecting their brand to a certain degree. I can't have y'all put my defense out there with their backside in the wind, that type of thing. So,
Right.
hey, I need you guys to protect the ball more because, and it bleeds over, whereas sometimes the offensive guys, they're like, hey, we're going for it. And we're going to do this. And we're going to do that. And meanwhile, they're neglecting to think
That's true.
Hey,
that's true.
Hey, you guys are putting us in a bind every now and then. And they're like, the offensive minded coach, like, well, go handle it. Y'all, are y'all good? And it's like, so the interesting thing about Harbaugh, speaking on him, special teams guy. So he sees it all kind of. And I played under Harbaugh. I know the type of dude he is. So he might have an even more advantage because he's thinking, both sides. He thinks the whole apple, not just one side or the other. So you have a great point. Defensive guys sometimes they're trying to protect that side of the ball, and like I said, on the other side we see some of those no risk it, no biscuit on the other side.
That is true.
Yeah,
that is true. Oh yeah, how many times have you seen an offensive-minded head coach where you just you got it, don't worry, go for it on 4th down. But man, we in our own 20. Don't worry about it. Just go.
Hey, if we punt here, we can pin them down. Punt. Hell, punt.
Okay, so having said that, let's break it down. So let's start with what do the Ravens have to do in order to secure this win, and then we'll move to the Cardinals, what they have to do. So what do the Ravens have to do to secure a win?
Yeah, I've spoke on it. They come over here with their offensive game plan, run the ball, use Lamar to also run in the running game. He'll run it smartly. He'll find his receivers up the field. They just have a whole lot more talent than we do. And, they might jump out on us early with some scores. And then from there, just shut us down defensively because I don't know if we have enough firepower to keep up with them. This is once again, this is one of those games for we have to try to make it ugly. They have to make it pretty like they did against Detroit last week. So in my opinion, all they have to do is come over here and not look ahead. This is a trap game. If they come over here focused on beating the Cardinals, they will beat the Cardinals because they just have more talent than we do. The game plan wise, Lamar handing it off, Lamar around the corner, Lamar throwing it down the field, and they're not afraid to throw it down the field too, along with Mark Andrews across the middle. I'm sure they're gonna jab us, for a few. Mark Andrews over the middle, picking up first downs, and then all of a sudden, streak, there they go, big plays, and like I said, that's how they win the game. And then, like I said, on the other side, they just have to shut us down with our conservative game plan. We don't have enough firepower.
Now, before we get to what the Cardinals would need to do to win this game, Kyler Murray, full practice, full go at practice on Wednesday. Is Lamar Jackson and the way his evolution could that be a template for the Cardinals in terms of maybe how to use him? But I mean, I know Lamar is a couple inches taller than Kyler, right? And I'm not meaning that as a slight. I'm just saying because different things you might have to do to move the pocket to maybe give Tyler those windows, those passing windows. But just curious if you think.
No, it's not a joke. That's my opinion. Kyler couldn't play the game the way Lamar does. If you watch Lamar stands tall in the pocket. Lamar, okay. There are times when Lamar has time, he's patting it. We don't have a quarterback that can pat it back there because there's too much going on in front of him. So
gotcha.
It's not a slight on him. Lamar is just a much taller quarterback. You can't play him now. They have similar talents, but you couldn't put Kyler in that offense and play it the exact same way because height-wise, you're not going to get opportunities. And, and Lamar gets under center. He does play action. He does a lot of things that we have not seen Kyler do to this point. This new offense and new philosophy, he might have to because they might force him to. That's yet to be seen, though.
All right. And so what do the Cardinals have to do if they are to win this game?
Open it up, bro. You can't, you can't just try to walk the ball down the field against this high-powered offense and try to match them. We got to open it up. You can try to make it an ugly game meaning we try to hold the ball away from them. But what happens when we start having these 3-and-outs and they get the ball back and they march it down or big play and they score? I think we have to come in with an aggressive game plan, and it might be dangerous because it might turn into exactly what we don't want. But what do I always say, Jay? Scare money don't make money. So if you're gonna, what's that definition of insanity? Doing the same thing, expecting a different result. If we just continue to conservatively think we can try to stay in these games, and at the end, we've seen what's happened. Teams make adjustments at halftime. We have no chance in the second half of these games because they're looking at what we're doing. We don't make the adjustments, and then they're running away from us. Same thing. This game, you got to get more creative. You got to make some adjustments on the fly and take some shots. If you don't take shots, especially without Connor in there and no Ertz, and you got to throw the ball at the field. Otherwise, like I said, we're going to think and dunk ourselves to a deficit, and then they're going to run away from us. It's going to look uglier than it should in the end.
All right, so leave me with this. Who do you got winning this one? I'll go first. This might be a repeat of what happened against Detroit for the Ravens. So what was that when it was 30 something to 35 to 6 or something like that? So I would say, maybe 35-10.
I think we muck it up. Try to muck it up. In the end, they're just too much for it, and it's like one of those 27 or 30 to 13 games. I give us at least one touchdown. Like last week we scored one. The week before we didn't score one. This will be one of those touchdown, 2 field goals, fall behind, and like I said, 30. Let's call it 30-13.
All right. So as always, we are presented by Bet Online. We do this thing twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. So check us out. Tell a friend about what we have going on here. You can check us out all across. So anywhere you find your podcast. And of course, we are happy to be a part of the Bleav family. And so on behalf of the one and only Ed Easy Smith, I am Javon, J. Love Adams. And as we always like to say around this time, you can